Welcome to the Adult Driver's Education Distance Learning Program through All Ages Driving School. I'm going to be your instructor, Mr. James, and I'm going to be with you over the next 3 sessions to help you get through your Adult Driver's Education 6-hour requirement. So let's get started. All right, so what will you need to complete this course successfully? So I want you to get familiar with our website at All Ages Driving School. You're going to need that website in order to get the resources you need in order to do this course successfully. There will be 3 sessions for this course, each being 2 hours long, for a total of 6 hours. You can do this course at your own pace. If you wish to do the entire 6 hours in one sitting, you're able to do that. However, if you need more time and want to take breaks in between, you can do that as well. We encourage you to finish the course within a week of signing up the course. Okay, so that way you can get that license as soon as possible. All right, so what resources will I need? Well, you're going to need the DPS handbook. You can find one on our website under the resource tab. You can download the English version or the Spanish version to help you. You'll be required to do assignments for this course that will consist of 84 questions found at the back of the DPS handbook. Each session will go over each chapter along with the DPS questions. Once you are finished with the course, you will be eligible to take the DPS knowledge test, which includes a 20-question test called Road Rules and a 20-question multiple choice test called Road Signs. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our, well, first of all, before we get to that, what do you need in order to get your permit? Okay, so what permit documents you need is, so after completing day 3 or 6 instructional hours and passing both the knowledge exam, road rules and road signs test, you'll be eligible to receive your DE form for you to go down to the DPS office and get your license. You don't need a verification of enrollment, that's only for my teens, but you will need your original birth certificate, you will need your original social security card. You don't need a parent or guardian because you are a legal adult. You will need 2 forms of residency, either a water bill, electric bill, cable bill, phone bill, no older than 30 days. And of course your glasses or contacts if you need in order for you to see perfect vision. So make sure you have that ready. But let's go ahead and take a quick look at our website. This is our website right here, allagesdrivingschool.com. Okay, you're going to be clicking on the distance learning tab, and it's not here right now, but it's going to show distance learning adults. Okay, if you want an example for the teen class, they show different days, but for y'all it's going to show 3 sessions, sessions 1, 2, and 3. Each session is going to be 2 hours long. You go ahead and complete each of those sessions, do the questions and assignments for each of those sessions. You're going to turn in those assignments through email, which is at mrjamesdriverzed@gmail.com, and the resources you're going to need in order to do that, you come over here at the top, go to more, go to resources. We have a DPS handbook in English. You can click on here and it'll show the Texas DPS handbook. Okay. If you need one in Spanish, we have a Spanish version right here. Click on that and it has the Spanish version of the DPS handbook. All right. And right here is the Texas Impact video. Now you're going to have to watch this video before you go take your road test. Okay, so if you plan on taking your road test fairly quickly, it's good for 90 days. Go ahead and click on this link, and what you're going to be choosing is you're going to be choosing young drivers. Okay, not teens, but young drivers. Okay, you're going to watch those videos, you're going to take those quizzes, you're going to print out a certificate, and you're going to take that certificate with you when you take your road test. You could take your road test here at All Ages, or you could take your road test over at the DPS office. We do offer pretty good deals for road tests, and it's also more convenient, so we encourage you to do that. But if not, just make sure you have that impact certificate prior to taking your road test, so that way you can get your actual driver's license. Now, we did talk about what you need in order to go to the DPS to get your learner's license, but your learner's license only allows you to sign up for the road test. So you could practice with your learner's license if you need practice, but you can't just go down to the DPS office and take your test right then and there. You have to sign up for your learner's license first and then sign up for your road test. So you may have a day in between having to go to the DPS office twice. So DPS office to get your learner's license, or excuse me, your permit, and then once you got your permit, you're allowed to sign up for the road test. You can come back to All Ages and take your road test with us, or you can do it at the DPS office. And then once you pass your road test, you're able to get your license. Okay, so we're going to give you all the knowledge and tools that you need in order to pass that road test, as well as to pass that knowledge sign test. So for you to get your license ASAP, look forward to working with you. So we're going to go ahead and get started with chapter 1. All right, so let's begin. Let's go ahead and open up our books, our DPS handbooks, to chapter 1. Okay, so who may drive a motor vehicle in Texas? Your license to drive. Now, obviously, if you have a Texas driver's license, you could drive on Texas roads. You're a resident, you have a license, you're good to go. New residents, however, if you come in from another state, let's say you move here to Texas from, let's say, Kansas, you have 90 days in order to switch your Kansas license to a Texas license. Okay. Also, if you're ever here on vacation or visiting from another place, you can go ahead and drive on Texas roads as long as you have a valid driver's license. Okay, so that includes non-residents. If you're 16 years of age, coming from another state, valid driver's license, you can drive on Texas roads. However, if you're coming from Mexico, you got to be 18 years old, and you can only drive on Texas roads for 90 days if you're a non-resident coming from Mexico with a valid driver's license from Mexico. Now, if you come from a Canadian province, you're allowed to drive on Texas roads as long as your visa is here. But yeah, if you come from other countries, you could drive on Texas roads with a valid driver's license from that country, but only for 90 days. Okay, and then also if you move here to Texas, you have 90 days to update your driver's license. All right, if you're in the military. All right, now if you're in the military and you're using that vehicle for military use, let's say you're an Air Force recruiter and you're driving that Toyota Corolla and it has government plates, but yet you don't have a driver's license, you can drive that Toyota Corolla as long as you're using it for military use. Now, of course, any other military vehicles like tanks, Humvees, things of that nature, you're more than welcome to use Texas roads without a driver's license as long as you're using it for military use. Okay, types of Texas driver's license. Now, everybody in this course is going to be going for their Class C license. Okay, but what this course allows you to do is allows you to apply for your learner's license. Okay, your instruction permit. All right, so if this is an adult class, once you finish your 3 sessions, you take your exam, you get your DE form. With that DE form, along with proper documentation, you can go down to the DPS and get your learner's permit. Now, if you're ready to take your test, you can go ahead and sign up to take your test right then and there. But if you want to practice a little bit, you can practice a while before deciding to take your road test. Or if you want to take your road test at all ages, just get your permit or learner's license over there at the DPS and then sign up for your actual road test over at All Ages Driving School. So what does it take to get a learner's license? Okay, a learner's license, also known as an instructional permit, allows a student driver to legally practice driving when accompanied by a licensed driver. A licensed driver must be at least 21 years of age. Okay, 21 years of age with at least 1 year experience driving. Okay, they must occupy the seat beside the driver, that means in the front seat, and cannot be intoxicated, asleep, or engaging in any activity that prevents the observation and response to actions of the driver. A learner license will indicate learner license on the front of the card and expire on the minor's 18th birthday. Okay, a person applying for a learner's license must be 1. Be at least 15 but no more than 18 years of age. 2. Complete the classroom portion of driver education course, vision exam, and knowledge exam. 3. Meet all other requirements for a first-time driver's license original application. Okay, so you must be 15 years old. It is going to cost you $16. All right, when you go down to the DPS. For applicants less than 18 years of age, the license expires on their 18th birthday. If you're 18 or older, it is good for 6 years, and then you simply just go down there and renew it, or until you're ready to take your actual driving test. Okay, applicants 18 years of age and older who wish to legally practice drive are issued a Class C license with the same restrictions as a learner's license. The license is generally valid for 6 years and costs $24 plus 1 administrative fee, so a total of $25. All right, verification of enrollment. All right, now we talked a little bit about this. If you're in the teen class, the forms that you need in order to get your license, verification of enrollment is one of them. Okay, you're going to get this from your high school. And if you, let's say you're homeschooled, then basically you would download one from the internet, or you can get one from All Ages Driving School, and then your parents would sign it, letting the state know that you're being homeschooled. All right, you have to obtain it from your high school diploma. First of all, if you don't have to get a VOE if you already have a high school diploma or equivalent, a GED, are a student enrolled in a public or private or homeschool attended school for at least 80 days in the fall or spring semester preceding the date of the application, have been enrolled in at least 45 days and are enrolled at the time of application in a program to prepare individuals to pass a high school equivalency exam. So if you dropped out of high school but you're in a program to get your GED, you can go ahead and get a VOE from that program that allows you to get your license while you're in the process of studying and getting ready for your GED exam. This information is included on your VOE form. Ask the school officials to complete and sign the VOE form. The VOE may not be dated more than 30 days before the application for a license during the school year or more than 90 days during the summer. So if you're taking this class during the summer, then once you get it at the end of the school year, it'll be good all summer long. So if you decide to get your license, your learner's license in July, which is 30 days after the last day of school, your VOE will still be good. However, if you do it during the school year, your VOE is only good for 30 days. So that means you must apply for your learner's license within 30 days of receiving that VOE, or it becomes invalid. Okay. You could also get a hardship license. A hardship license is given to those who are 15 years of age, but not more than 18 years of age. Basically, an example of a hardship license would be both your parents are blind, and you're the only one who has vision, who could be able to get into a car, go grocery shopping, pay the bills, take them to their doctor appointments, things of that nature. That would be a hardship case situation where you can get a license under the hardship rule. Graduated driver's license. Teenagers and young adults have the highest crash rates of all drivers, and motor vehicle crashes are the leading cause of death for U.S. teens. Young drivers make up 6.5% of the driving population, but are responsible for 13% of fatal crashes. So even though only 6.5% of the population are teen drivers, more than double that are represented for fatal crashes, so 13%. The graduated driver license program eases teens into driving experience by phasing in driving privileges and minimizing exposure to high-risk situations. The graduated driver's license programs apply to driver's license applicants under 18 years of age and has contributed to a decrease in fatal crashes in recent years. As part of this program, all new driver's license applicants are required to pass a driving exam conducted at a driver license office or authorized testing facility. All Ages Driving School is an authorized testing facility. So if you want to take your road test, take it with us. The GDL program consists of 2 phases. Phase 1 applies to learner's license. Phase 2 applies to provisional license. All drivers less than 18 years of age must meet the licensing requirement for a learner's license or provisional license, but they are also subject to additional requirements, including driver education in the GDL program. So Phase 1. This phase requires applicants under the age of 18. So this mainly applies to my teen class. If you're in the adult class, you can go ahead and fast forward a little bit past this if you want to, and we'll get more into important information on what you need to know for your driver's license in Texas. The phase requires applicants under 18 years of age to hold a valid learner, hardship, or combination of learner and hardship license for a minimum of 6 months prior to the issuance of a provisional license. So what that means is that once you get your learner's license, okay, after 6 hours of this course, or on day 3, you could take your permit test, pass both of them. And when you pass both of them, you get a D964 form, you go down to the DPS office, get a learner's license. You must hold that learner's license for a period of 6 months, okay, before you can get a provisional license. Now, a provisional license is the license that you receive between the ages of 16 to 18 years old. When does your provisional license expire? When you turn 18. So, if your license is suspended during Phase 1, then the initial 6-month period is extended by the number of days of the suspension because your license is invalid during the suspension period. A learner's license will be issued to new Texas residents who are at least 15 years of age, present at out-of-state instruction permit, and submit a VOE form. A Texas learner's license must be held for 6 months from the date of issuance before the individual is eligible for Phase 2. Phase 1 requirements do not apply to Class M motorcycle license. So if you're getting a Class M license, which of course is your motorcycles and mopeds, you don't need to go through the GDL program in order to get your motorcycle's license. Under the GDL program, there is no minimum time a person must hold a restricted motorcycle or moped license before applying for a Class M license. All right, so Phase 2. Phase 2 restricts the driving privileges of individuals under their 18th birthday following the issuance of a provisional license. During Phase 2, these individuals may not drive a motor vehicle, one, with more than one passenger in the vehicle under the age of 21 who is not a family member. So, if you plan on taking all your friends down to Galveston Beach and having a good time during spring break, you may want to think again. You cannot have more than one passenger under the age of 21 in your vehicle who is not a family member. So if you think you're going to get all your BFS together and just go to the mall, think again. You can only take one, so make sure you pick the right one. 2, between midnight and 5 a.m., unless the operation of the vehicle is necessary for the driver to work, to attend or participate in a school-related activity, or due to a medical emergency. Okay, so that means you cannot be out driving your vehicle past midnight on any given night. All right, so if it's a Friday night, Saturday night, you cannot be out past midnight driving your car unless it's work-related, school-related, or a medical emergency. All drivers who are under the age of 18 years of age are restricted from using wireless communication devices, including a hands-free device, except in case of an emergency. Now, just so you know, this applies to everybody. All right, no one's allowed to use a handheld device while operating a motor vehicle. But for teens, okay, under age of 18, you can't even use a wireless communication device, not even a hands-free. Okay, so that means if you have a Bluetooth connected to your stereo and your mom's calling you and you answer it while you're driving and you're under the age of 18, you'll be violating the law. A person who's 18 or older can use the Bluetooth hands-free wireless communication device, but you cannot have, this is for everybody, you cannot have any electronic device in your hand while you're driving. Okay, so if you're under the age of 18, you can't be on a cell phone, period. All right, while you're driving, no matter what manner in which you're using it. All right, provisional license. A provisional license is a driver's license issued to a person 16 to 18 years of age that has the Phase 2 GDL provision driving restrictions applied. The license will be marked provisional and expire on the license holder's 18th birthday. A person applying for a provisional license must be at least 16 but not more than 18 years of age, complete and pass a driver education course. A driver education course includes both the classroom and behind the wheel phases, vision, and driving exams. Okay. 3, have held a valid learner, hardship, or combination of learner and hardship license for at least 6 months and meet all the requirements for a renewal driver's license applicant. Okay, so that means you don't have any suspensions or anything of that nature. But if you're an out-of-state license holder, applicants who are at least 15 but less than 18 years of age and present a valid out-of-state instructional permit will be issued a Phase 1 learner's license. Applicants who are at least 16 but less than 18 years of age and present a valid out-of-state driver's license will be issued a Phase 2 provisional license with passenger and time restrictions after successful completion of the driving exam. Applicants must meet all the requirements for first-time original applicant. All license issued to persons less than 21 years of age must be marked under 21. Now, this helps gas station attendants and other people who need to verify your age. It's in a particular shape. The card's in a particular shape, and it also says under 21 on it. So, classes of driver's license. Now, obviously, everybody in this class is going for their Class C license, but there is Class A, Class B, Class C, and Class M. Okay. A Class A license, of course, is for your largest vehicles out there on the road, big 18-wheelers. If you want to drive the big, massive rigs, a Class A license is the license that you want to get. Okay, and of course, if you hold a Class A license, not only are you certified to drive Class A vehicles, but you're also certified are licensed to drive Class B and Class C vehicles as well. Okay, let's see here. Class A driver's license, $25 fee, expires every 6 years. See here, 17 with the completion of an approved driver education course. So you could be 17 with an approved driver education course, but if you're 18 years old, you just have to successfully complete the approved driver education course. If you're 18 to 24, you must have a driver education course in order to drive. Now, once you get your Class C driver's license, you'll be able to take the test for your Class B or Class A. So you don't have to take additional courses in order to get those licenses, but it is recommended, so that way when you do take the test, you know what you're doing. Class B driver's license. I hold a Class B driver's license that allows me to drive a bus. And of course, I can drive Class C vehicles as well. It's a single vehicle with a gross weight of 26,000 pounds or more, and any such vehicle towing either a vehicle with a GVWR, and that does not exceed 10,000 pounds, or a farm trailer with a GVWR that does not exceed 20,000 pounds. Okay, a Class B driver's license does not permit a person to drive a motorcycle or a moped. That's true with the Class A as well. Okay, just because you have a Class A, you could drive B and C, but not an M. You have to get an M separately from all of those. Class C driver's license, this is what we're all going for. It allows the applicant to drive a single vehicle with a gross vehicle weight of less than 26,000 pounds, towing a trailer not to exceed 10,000 pounds, a GVWR, or a farm trailer with a GVWR that does not exceed 20,000 pounds. An autocycle defined as a motor vehicle other than a tractor that is designed to not have more than 3 wheels on the ground when moving, equipped with the steering wheel, equipped with seats that do not require the operator to straddle a seat astride the seat, manufactured with a certified to comply with federal safety requirements for a motorcycle. A Class C driver's license does not permit a person to drive a Class C motorcycle. Okay, an autocycle is you kind of seen them out the road. They have 3 wheels. It kind of looks like a motorcycle. It's a lot bigger than a motorcycle, but it's considered an autocycle if you've ever seen those out there on the road. How much does it cost? $25. It's good for 6 years. Class M driver's license are for your motorcycles, mopeds. You could be as young as 16 years old to get your Class M license. You could be as young as 15 to be able to drive mopeds. Okay, and let's see here. It says 16 with the completion of a classroom phase of a driver education course, 32 hours, and a DPS approved motorcycle operating training course of 16 hours. All right. Fees for driver's license, identification cards. If you're already 15 or 16 years old and you already have your state ID, it'll make getting your license a lot easier because you don't have to bring additional documents with you that you normally have to bring if you're getting your ID and your license at the same time. Okay. Medical and emergency information. When you go down there to the DPS, you will have to fill out a medical questionnaire and emergency information. All that on the back of your card, you have that little magnetic strip, and you also have a little chip inside your license that gives information. And that information, if you're ever involved in an accident or they need to scan your license for whatever reason for medical purposes, it has that medical information on there for you. So make sure you fill it out accurately, so that way if you ever do find yourself in an emergency situation, they'll know what to do. Organ donation, that's an optional thing. You just check mark the box when you fill out your application if you want to be an organ donor. You'll have a picture of a heart on your driver's license that shows that you're an organ donor. So save a life if they can't save yours. It's a good idea to do that. How to obtain a Texas driver's license. Okay, now this is the process that you need to go through when you go down to the DPS office to actually get your license. So if you're applying for a Texas driver's license, you must comply with the following procedures. Okay, applying for a Texas driver's license, an applicant for a driver's license must be made in person. Okay, you can't just apply for a driver's license online. You can obtain an application at any driver's license office or download an application from the website at DPS website. All in-office applicants are provided an opportunity to complete a voter registration application. It's always a good idea. All men 18 to 25 years of age who are U.S. citizens or immigrants are automatically registered for Selective Service upon issuance of an ID card or driver's license. Okay, so Selective Service only applies to men. You pick the 3 branches of the military that you would want to join in case they ever enact a draft. So if World War III breaks out and you chose Marines as your number 1 choice, you're more than likely going to go in the Marines, okay, or Army. So choose wisely what your top 3 would be, based on what you want to do if you ever get drafted into the military. So when I was young, I was 18 years old. I put Marines number 1, Army number 2, and Air Force number 3. Lucky for me, I was never drafted. I kind of went by what seemed cool at the time, but being a little bit older and wiser, being away from the actual battle probably be best, right? Navy or Air Force, so it's up to you, all right, based on what you want to do. All right, so required documents and application information. All right, to apply for a Texas driver's license, you must provide the following documents and information. All right, your full name, proof of residence, address, mailing address, current county of residence, place of birth, and date of birth. All right, identification documents, social security card or other applicable evidence of a social security number. Okay, thumb or index fingerprints, your physical description. Answer the medical status and history questions listed on the application. Individuals with certain medical limitations may have their cases reviewed by the Medical Advisory Board before their license is issued. So when you fill out that medical questionnaire, you want to make sure that whatever you put down that you have was actually diagnosed by a doctor. So, you know, if you think you have diabetes, don't mark that you have diabetes just because you self-tested and had a high sugar count. Make sure you're actually diagnosed by a doctor. Same thing with heart disease and other things. You have to be diagnosed by a doctor with those ailments. And then also, if you have been diagnosed by a doctor with those ailments, you must accurately and honestly put that on the information on your medical questionnaire. You must surrender any out-of-state or any valid out-of-state driver's license. Okay, you're not allowed to carry more than 2 valid driver's licenses on you at any given time. Right? So if you can only carry 1. So carrying 2 would be against the law. You must show your U.S. citizenship status or lawful presence. For additional information and list of applicable documents, you go ahead and visit this website. It'll show you the proper documentation that you need. Driving record. A completed record of all your examinations will be recorded on your application and scanned into the driver's license system where it becomes a part of your permanent driving record. So the first time you ever get a loan or a credit card, you now have a credit record, right? Every time when you first get into an apartment, you now have a renter's record. Okay, same thing with driving. Once you get your license, you will now have a driving record. So every time you get a ticket, every time you get into an auto accident, it'll go on to your driving record, and it'll affect things like your insurance, how many points you get towards suspending your license, things of that nature. Evidence of financial responsibility. If you own a vehicle, you're required to go in with insurance. Okay, so if you're trying to get a driver's license and they cross-reference your information with the DMV, the Department of Motor Vehicles, and it shows that you own a car, well, then you would have to show proof of insurance of that vehicle before they can issue you a license. So make sure you have that ready. Same thing with your vehicle registration, has to be up to date. If you have an expired vehicle registration on your vehicle, they won't issue you a license. So make sure everything about your car, if you own one, okay, not that your parents own one or anyone else, but if you as an individual who are getting the license own a vehicle, you must make sure you have insurance on it and your registration is up to date. So make sure that's all done on your vehicle. So driver's education, who must take it, right? Individuals less than 25 years of age are required to successfully complete an approved driver education course. So obviously, if you're a teenager between the ages of 15 and 18, you must take the teen course. If you're 18 or older, you must take the adult course. Now, the difference between the two is a teen course, you have the GDL program, where you have phase 1 and phase 2, whereas the adult course, you don't have a GDL, and you could take the adult course in as little as 6 hours, whereas the teen course, you have to do it over 32 hours. You have to do it 32 hours over a period of 16 days. So you also must hold your permit for 6 months, and you have a lot of restrictions on the provisional license. So there's a difference. All right, now Impact Texas Teen Drivers. This right here. When you're ready to take your driving test, you must watch this video right here. Okay. We'll provide information about that. We'll give you an actual link you can use. It's on our All Ages Driving School website. Click on that link, watch the video, answer the questions, pass the quiz, and you will get a certificate from the Department of Public Safety showing that that you watched the Impact Texas Teen video. And there's also one for young adults. So if you're 18 or older, make sure you watch the young adult ones. If you're under the age of 18, make sure you watch the teen one. Okay. And then basically it's all about distracted driving, right? Texting while driving, talking on the phone while driving. These things are very important because they now outpace the leading cause of death for auto accidents, where it used to be alcohol, now it's cell phones. So it's very important to know this information. Minors, if you are less than 18 years of age, your application must be signed under oath by a parent or a guardian with custody. If there is not a guardian, your employer or county judge may sign the applicant. The person who signs may ask DPS to cancel your license anytime before your 18th birthday. This request must be in writing and sworn to before an officer authorized to administer oaths. In addition, the minor applicant and co-signer must acknowledge receipt of information that explains the zero tolerance law. So basically what this means is that if you're under the age of 18, you've got to take your mom, dad, or guardian with you. And then also at the same time, if your parents ever feel like they need to take your license away, they can go down to the DPS office and actually have your license revoked until your 18th birthday. So yeah, parents have that right, because you can only drive under the consent of your parents. All right. Examinations. Before any exams are given, you must pay the required fee. Your picture will be taken. You'll be given a payment receipt. If you do not pass the knowledge and driving exams on your first attempt, your applicant will be held for 90 days. After 90 days, 3 failed exams, a new application and fee will be required. Now, you're going to be taking your knowledge exams with us. So we're going to be giving you out that exam. You can earn your DE 964 form by passing both exams with us, and on that DE 964 form it'll show that you passed both exams. All right. The knowledge and driving exams are not required for applicants 18 years of age and older who surrendered a valid out-of-state license. So if you're already licensed in another state, you don't need to retake that test. After you have passed all applicable exams, you will be issued a temporary license, which you may use for 45 days or until you receive a permanent license in the mail. So they'll print one out, they'll give it to you, and it's good for 45 days, and you'll actually have a card that will come to you in the mail. And that's the one you're going to be using from then on out. But that one they print you out is a temporary one until you get that one in the mail. All right, so knowledge exam, as part of the Less Tiers, More Years Act, all applicants less than 25 years of age are required to take a driver education course to apply for a driver's license. Under successful completion of certain courses, the person is not required to take the Class C knowledge exam, also known as the written exam. There are 3 types of knowledge exams. The Class C is the one you're going to be taking. There's also Class M, Class A, and Class B. Okay, Class A and Class B, of course, there's 7 different exams you got to take. But if you ever want to become a bus driver or have your CDL license to drive big rigs, there are a lot of things that you would have to cover for Class A and Class B. But right now, we're just going to focus on Class C. Okay, so when you go down to the DPS office, you will have to take your vision exam. Okay, so if you wear glasses, take your glasses with you. They will allow you to try to pass the test without your glasses, but if you know you can't see without them, I encourage you to use them, right? So don't try to trick your way into getting your license without that A restriction. Okay, so if you need glasses to drive, or if you need glasses just to see clearly, by all means wear your glasses. Okay, the driving exam itself. The driving exam is given only after all exams are passed and evidence of financial responsibility is presented, or the vehicle is exempt under the Texas Motor Vehicle Safety Responsibility Act. So what this means is that when you go down to the DPS office to take your exam, you're going to be using your own vehicle. Okay, either your own vehicle or the vehicle of your parents or a friend. Okay, now that vehicle must have insurance on it, and it must have a valid registration and inspection done on it. So if there's any part of that vehicle that is not considered legal to drive, you would not be able to use it for your road exam. Now, if you take your road exam at the DPS or even with us, the smaller the car, the better. The easier it is to pass that exam. But if you have a big old truck and you're going to try to parallel park that thing, it's just going to make it that much more difficult. So if you do use a vehicle, whoever's vehicle you borrow, or if you have one of your own, by all means, use a smaller one. I've seen some people actually go out and rent a car, a very, very small car, to take their driving exam with, and it helps, right? So you don't parallel park very often in Texas, but you still something you need to know how to do. So make sure that you are well prepared for that driving exam before you actually try to attempt it, right? Because you only get so many tries before you have to pay again. Individuals may take a driving exam at a driver's license office or through a third-party testing site, which All Ages is. The third-party testing site program started in September 1st, 2014. The program permits certain schools to administer the non-commercial driving exam. Individuals who take and pass the driving exam through an approved third-party vendor, school must present the sealed envelope prepared by the third-party testing site school in order for the exam to be waived at the driver's license office. So we will give you a sealed envelope with all the information showing that you passed, so that way you can get your license at the DPS. Individuals who complete the DPS-approved motorcycle operating training course are not required to take a driving exam for a Class M license if the person already has a valid unrestricted Texas license. Individuals less than 18 years of age must pass the motorcycle driving exam. Additionally, the driving exam is not required for anyone applying for a learner's license. A $10 exam fee is required when changing from a lower to a higher class license or when removing restrictions from a license. The cost for adding a Class M to an existing license is $15. All right. Description of the driving exam. So this is how the driving exam is going to go. All right. So during the exam, you will not be asked to do anything illegal. You must follow all the instructions given by the customer service representative. Do not carry on a conversation during the driving exam. So basically, you just follow the instructions of the DPS officer or the instructor who's giving the exam. If you do say anything, it has to be related to the exam itself. There is no chit-chat, things of that nature. If you are not eligible to drive in Texas, a licensed driver must drive the car to the driver's license office and the exam area. So if you show up to the DPS office driving a car with no one else with you and you don't have a valid driver's license to drive, you may find yourself getting in trouble. So don't do that. All right. So if you're borrowing somebody's car, even if it's your own car and you don't have a license to drive, make sure someone who is licensed to drive drives that car to the DPS office for you. All right. If you are not issued a driver's license, then the licensed driver should also drive you away from the driver's license office. Upon completion of the driving exam, the CSR will explain all driving errors and let you know how to correct those errors. Your application for a license will not be approved if, one, you violate the law. Okay, so during your driving exam, if you break the law in any way, you won't be given a driver's license. Two, refuse to follow instructions. So if he asks you at the next light, you need to take a right, but you decide to keep going straight, that would be a refusal of following instructions. Driving dangerously or have a crash. If you get into a crash, the test is over. It's automatic failure, even if it's not your fault, simply because of the act that they can't finish the exam once a crash takes place. Okay. Four, have more than 30 points deducted on the driving exam, so everybody starts off with 100, and of course you work your way backwards to anything below a 70 is not passing. Anything above a 70 is considered passing. So the test itself is pass or fail. Doesn't really matter whether you got 100 or a 70, passing is passing. All drivers are graded on 4 basic skills, regardless of the type of driving exam. 1, control, your ability to make your car do what you want it to do, right? You're not hitting curbs, you're staying in the center of your lane, you're not going over lines, things of that nature. Observation, your ability to see what other traffic is doing and other things that may create problems in traffic. Okay, so your ability to actually see what's up ahead and be able to react to it. All right, so one of the things we're going to talk about in the teen course is SIPDE, search, identify, predict, decide, execute. Okay, so you got to be observant when you're driving. You got to be able to react to those hazards out there on the road. Positioning, your ability to drive in your lane. Signaling, your ability to use turn signals as required. Now, of course, you must turn on your turn signal 100 feet before a turn. You must use your turn signal every time you change lanes. Okay. You may be graded on your performance on the following skills, so it is good to practice before taking the driving exam. First thing you're going to do when you get out there in the driving exam, you're going to be parallel parking. All right, parallel parking. You may use the backup camera on your vehicle for parallel parking. However, the use of an automated vehicle parking function will not be allowed. So if you have a backup camera, go ahead and use it. If you have a BMW where you just push a button and it parks it for you, that's not going to count. Quick stop. All right, you may be asked to stop your car as quickly as possible at about 20 miles per hour without skidding your tires. Okay. Backing, your ability to back the car for a distance of about 60 feet at a slow rate of speed and as straight and smoothly as possible. Turn and look back at all times while backing, or you may use the backup camera and mirrors on your vehicle while backing. However, the use of an automated vehicle parking function will not be allowed. Okay. Stop signs. You must stop at all stop signs. Now, what is a stop at a stop sign? Stopping behind the stop line or behind the pole at the actual stop sign itself. And a complete stop, too. You can't be doing that California roll. Traffic signals. How you respond to traffic signals. Use of a clutch. On a standard transmission, hold the clutch all the way down when starting the motor, shifting gears, when stopping, once your speed drops below 10 miles per hour, do not drive with your foot resting on the clutch. Not many people use a standard transmission anymore, and if you do go down to the DPS office, more than likely you're going to be using an automatic transmission. So this really doesn't apply to you. Intersection observance. Use the proper lane, slow down, look both ways before entering the intersection. Also, you cannot change within 100 feet of an intersection. Remember that too. Turns, right-of-way, right? Know what right-of-way is and observe right-of-way in yielding procedures. Okay? Following, passing, and proper lane observance. All right? So when you're following somebody, you're no closer than 2 to 4 seconds. Okay? The DPS officer will be looking to see how close you are to that driver in front of you. If you're stopped at a red light or at a stop sign, you got to be able to see the 2 back tires touching the ground in order for you to be at a proper distance behind somebody at a red light or a stop sign. Posture, keep both hands on the steering wheel. Don't rest your elbow on the window. Okay? So you can't be there one hand behind the headrest and one hand on the wheel, or using your pinky or your knee. You got to have 2 hands, 9 and 3, on the steering wheel at all times while you're driving. It's a pass or fail exam. If you do not pass the driving exam, you'll need to schedule a time for another driving exam. If you pass the driving exam, always carry your license with you when driving under request. Show it to one, any peace officer, sheriff, constable, judge, justice of the peace, or state trooper, or 2, anyone whom you're involved in a crash. So you're required by law to show your license in these situations. So if a peace officer, sheriff, constable, judge, justice of the peace, or state trooper asks for your license, you must show it when driving a motor vehicle. And then, of course, if you're involved in a crash, you must show your ID to the individual. Even if it's not your fault, you must show your ID to that individual in which you're involved in a crash with. Same thing with insurance. Penalties for driving without a license. All right. Now, this is very important. You may find this on a test. First conviction, a fine up to $200. All right. So when you get caught driving without a license out there on Texas roads, you can be fined up to $200 for your first offense. All right. Restrictions placed on your license. Now, the most common restriction you're going to find out there is this one right here, A restriction. All right, that means you must wear corrective lenses. All right, either it be contacts or glasses, you must be wearing them when driving. You want to be able to have good vision. Vision is probably the most important sense that you need when you're out there driving a car. You got to be able to see things coming at you. The only way to identify a hazard is by being able to see it. So vision is very important. All right. Now, for those who are under the age of 18, for those of you getting your learner's license, you'll have the B restriction. That means while you're out there practicing learning how to drive, you will be required to have somebody in the front seat with you who is 21 years older with 1 year experience with a valid driver's license. Okay. Now, teenagers, the F restriction is going to be on your license. Must hold valid learner's license until this particular date. So this date that you're going to see on your license is going to be 6 months from the day you got your learner's permit. So you must hold it for 6 months. Okay. So B and F are 2 common ones for teens, and then of course A is the most common for everybody. All right. Let's see here. Replacement, duplicate, or change of driver's license or ID card. If you ever lose your driver's license or you change addresses, you have 30 days to get a replacement. Okay. So if you get pulled over by a police officer and he says, is this address correct? And it's not, and it's been longer than 30 days, you may find yourself getting another ticket for having an inaccurate address on your driver's license. So make sure you get that done. All right. Let's see here. Renewing your license. If you're a teenager and you have a provisional license, you'll renew your license at 18 years of age to get your standard driver's license. If you're 18 or older, you usually renew your license every 6 years. Okay. Renewal notice invitation will be mailed to your last address you provided to DPS about 6 weeks before your license expires. However, if it gets lost in the mail, whose responsibility is it to make sure that you renew your license? It's still going to be your responsibility. So always make sure. One of the things I do is I kind of look at my license every time I have a birthday, and I determine whether or not is this the year I have to go get my license renewed. So you definitely want to be on top of that. You don't want to be driving with an invalid license or an expired license. Okay. Let's see. Individuals returning from military service. Within 90 days, if you ever come back to Texas, or if you go to Texas, you have 90 days of being discharged to get a Texas driver's license. If you're out of state, Texas license, eligible individuals who do not currently reside in Texas but whose true permanent home is in Texas may mail in their application for renewal. You could also do it online. And then, of course, the following individuals who are out of state are not eligible to renew by mail and must renew in person. They include a person who is subject to a sex offender registration requirements, a person who's 79 years of age or older. Okay, once you hit 79, you got to go in every single time. You can't even do it online. They got to check your vision to make sure you can still be able to see well after a certain age. 3, a person holding a commercial driver's license, CDL. 4, a person who is not a U.S. citizen. Okay, suspensions and revocations. Now, there's tons of things you can get your license suspended for and revoked, and this is kind of goes over those different things. But operating a motor vehicle is a privilege. Okay, if this privilege is abused, it may result in your driver's license being suspended or revoked. All right, mandatory suspension, revocations, and convictions for certain offenses involving fraudulent government records require an additional $100 reinstatement fee. Administrative license revocations require an additional $125 reinstatement fee. Some mandatory suspensions also require filing a financial responsibility issuance certificate. Okay. Mandatory suspensions. Convictions for the following offenses will result in an automatic suspension of your license and driving privilege for minors. See suspension revocations for under 21. All right, so driving while intoxicated, DWI, automatic. Drug offenses. Doesn't matter if you're driving a car or not. If you get convicted of drugs or distributing, using things of that nature, you'll find yourself with a suspended license. Intoxicated manslaughter, failure to stop and render aid, meaning that if you hit somebody and you just take off, that'll be a failure to stop and render aid. Okay, causing the death or serious injury of anyone while operating a motor vehicle, involuntary manslaughter. Any offense punishable as a felony under the motor vehicle laws of Texas. Overtaking and passing a school bus. This is probably one of the most common reasons people get their license suspended. You see cops all the time sitting out there every morning around 7 a.m. looking for cars overtaking school buses in the morning because they're running late for work. All right, boating while intoxicated, evading arrest, driving while your license is invalid. All right, so invalid means that it's expired. It's no longer good. Altered unlawful use of your driver's license, displaying or possessing a fictitious or altered driver's license or ID card, lending a driver's license or ID card to someone. All right, so if you have a cousin or something, they look exactly like you, and you want to let them borrow your ID because you're having a family get together to go buy alcohol, yeah, you're definitely going to get in trouble. All right, possessing more than one valid license or ID card. So like I said, if you come from another state and you try to get a Texas license, they're going to go ahead and destroy your Kansas license. Now, let's say you lost your wallet and you go out there and get another license to replace it, but 6 months later you find it behind your bed or something. And now you have 2 valid licenses. Make sure you don't carry both of them on your person at the same time. Put it in your scrapbook or something. Let's see here. Providing false information or documents when applying for a driver's license. Make sure everything you provide is truthful. Making, selling, or possessing a document deceptively similar to a driver's license ID or ID card issued by the DPS. So if you're making fake IDs for your friends in high school, you're definitely going to get in trouble. All right. Any type of tagging or graffiti. All right. So if you're the kind of person that goes out and tags and graffitis in your neighborhood and you get caught, you're also going to lose your license. So you definitely want to be doing those type of things. Fictitious license plates, registration certificate, or safety inspection sticker. You don't want to be faking these documents either. Fraudulent government records. Racing a motor vehicle on a public highway or street. This is why we have racing locations. Like in San Antonio, they have Alamo Speedway where you can take your car and you can go race it on a track. So do it on an authorized racetrack. Don't do it on public streets. Okay, public streets, people use it to get back and forth to work, to go grocery shopping, go to church, things of that nature. The last thing they need to worry about is somebody who's driving 100 miles per hour in their neighborhood. Okay. Administrative suspensions and revocations, driving while your license is invalid, causing a serious crash, becoming incompetent to drive, repeated violations of traffic laws. Usually a repeated violation of traffic laws is what they call habitual reckless driving, which is something that you'll definitely get your your license suspended for. All right, suspensions or provocations under the age of 21. Convictions of failure to comply with the following offenses will result in an automatic suspension of the driver's license of individuals who are less than 21 years of age. Okay, so minor in possession. These are alcohol offenses. So if you go to a party and you're in college and they're drinking, well, minor in possession, yeah, you're going to get in trouble. You're going to lose your license if you're under the age of 21. If you attempt to purchase alcohol as a minor, if you purchase alcohol by a minor, a consumption of alcohol by a minor, okay? The only time you're allowed to consume alcohol as a minor is in the presence of your parents on private property. You cannot do it anywhere in public. So church, home, and a private property is the only place where you're allowed to consume alcohol in the presence and consent of your parents. Best bet is don't drink alcohol. It doesn't improve your life in any way. Representation of age by a minor. That means if you try to pretend you're 21 when you're not, yeah, you could definitely get in trouble. Driving or operating a watercraft under the influence of alcohol by a minor. Failure to complete an alcohol awareness class. So if you do get in trouble for anything dealing with alcohol and you're subject to a alcohol awareness class and you don't complete it, you're going to have your administrative suspension right there. Health and safety code violations, failure to complete a tobacco awareness class when required, drug offenses, an offense under the Controlled Substance Act, a felony under Chapter 481 that is not a drug offense, family code violations, delinquent conduct by a minor or juvenile. So if you get in trouble in school and you actually have to go to juvenile court, you'll definitely find yourself in trouble. Truancy means skipping school. You don't want to be skipping school because if you do, you're going to find yourself with no license. Suspended or revoked after a hearing of a minor, juvenile court order, failure to pay a fine or juvenile contempt, 2 or more traffic convictions occurring separately within a 12-month period for a driver who is less than 18 years of age. So if you get 2 tickets within 1 year, you're going to find yourself with no license. So administrative license revocations, DPS is authorized to suspend a license of driving privileges for individuals who are over 21 years of age who fail a breath or blood test of any person who refuses to submit to a breath or blood test. So when you get your license, you're going to be signing an oath stating that you consent to a blood test anytime you're behind the wheel. So if a police officer pulls you over and he suspects you of drinking and driving, you admit you consent to that breathalyzer test or that blood test, because if not, it's going to be a mandatory suspension of your license up to 180 days. For individuals who are under 21 years of age for any detectable amount of alcohol. So if you're under the age of 21 and you have any detectable amount of alcohol in your bloodstream, it's going to be an automatic DUIA, driving under the influence of alcohol by a minor. Okay. Let's see here. Driving while your license is invalid. Okay, we talked about this. You may find this as a question on your test. Individuals who drive a motor vehicle with their driver's license is suspended, revoked, denied, or canceled are subject to suspensions and criminal penalties. The penalties for driving a motor vehicle while your license is invalid are listed below. All right, so driving a motor vehicle while your license or privilege is suspended, canceled, denied, or revoked. Class C misdemeanor, punishable by a fine up to $500. Okay. Penalties for non-driving alcohol-related offenses by minors, which includes minor in possession, is going to be a $500 fine. Okay. Class C misdemeanor. All right. 8 to 12 hours community service. License suspended up to 30 days. Other non-driving penalties for alcohol-related offenses. A person who purchases, furnishes, or sells alcohol beverages to a minor is subject to the penalties listed below. It's a fine up to $4,000 and maybe even up to a year in jail. Okay, so you do not want to be purchasing alcohol for minors. All right, and if you work at a gas station or corner store or at a restaurant, you don't want to be selling alcohol to a minor. All right. An essential needs license. This is very important. You may find this on a test, so make sure you write this down in your notes. Occupational license, essential needs license. An occupational license, also called an essential needs license, is a special type of restricted license issued to individuals. Okay, so if you ever find yourself with a restricted license, you want to go ahead and motion to get an essential needs license. So an occupational license means you have a job, you need to get back and forth to work, you got to use your vehicle to do so. That means you can only use your vehicle in that regard. An essential needs license, you may not have a job, but you are a parent and you have children, or you may take care of somebody who's elderly. You'll have the ability to go grocery shopping, go to the bank, go to doctor appointments, pick up your kids from school or daycare. This is what they call an essential needs, okay? But you can only use it in that manner. You cannot be going to the club or going to the beach or going to some place that's considered not essential while your license is suspended, So these are the only instances in which you'll be allowed to get behind the wheel. All right. So occupational license or an essential needs license. Okay. Let's see here. Driver responsibility program. Driver responsibility program establishes a system that authorizes the DPS office to assess surcharges to an individual based on certain traffic offenses. Okay, so this is what we call the point system. All right, now points are assessed for traffic convictions. Once a conviction has been reported to a driving record, points are assigned and remain on your driving record for 3 years. A person will receive 2 points, okay, for a Texas or out-of-state traffic conviction. Running a stop sign, red light, speeding, it's automatically a minimum of 2 points. Okay, 3 points for a Texas or out-of-state traffic conviction that resulted in a crash. So if you ran a stop sign and it also resulted in a crash, you're going to find yourself with 3 points. Okay, a surcharge is assessed when the driver has 6 or more points on his or her record within 3 years. The driver is required to pay an additional $100 surcharge for the 6 points and $25 for every point after 6. The surcharge is assessed every year the driver maintains 6 or more points. Conviction-based. A driver convicted of one of the following of the offenses listed in the conviction-based surcharges table is assessed a surcharge every year for 3 years. Points are not assessed for these offenses because the surcharge is automatic upon conviction. Okay, so let's see here. Payment of surcharges. Let's see. All right, so this is all of Chapter 1. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go ahead and take a look at those Chapter 1 questions. So let's go ahead and take a look at them right now. All right, so what questions do we need to know for Chapter 1? All right, so we're going to be looking at questions 1, 2, 3, 5, 30, 40, 41, 44, 75, and 79. So I'm going to go ahead and give you some time to work on those questions right now, and then once you're done with the questions, we're going to go ahead and move on to Chapter 2. All right, so Chapter 2. All right, so Chapter 2 deals with vehicle inspection and registration. So once you know how to get your license, one of the things you're going to be doing next is when you get a vehicle, you're going to make sure that vehicle is inspected and registered properly. Okay, so vehicle inspection. All motor vehicles registered in Texas must be inspected each year at the official motor vehicle inspection station. This includes motorcycles, mopeds, scooters, and autocycles. Evidence of a financial responsibility for the vehicle being inspected must be presented at the time of the inspection. The Texas Department of Motor Vehicles and the Texas Department of Public Safety transitioned to a new vehicle inspection and registration system motors to display only the valid registration sticker on the windshield. This sticker serves as a combined proof of registration and inspection. Okay, so this is something that happened just recently, not too many years ago. I would say about 5 years ago. It used to be you would have 2 stickers on your windshield. You'd have both registration and inspection. But now both of those are going to be combined because you cannot get your registration without proper inspection. So by having your registration sticker on there, it also shows that your car was properly inspected that year in order for you to get your registration. So what are the vehicle requirements? So if you ever go to an actual inspection station or Jiffy Lube or someplace where you go to get your car inspected, they're going to be using this table right here, Table 13, required equipment for motor vehicles. Okay, so you're going to be looking at your brakes, your lights, your horns, your muffler and exhaust system. All right, all 1968 or later models must be equipped with an exhaust system to help reduce air pollution. So what is an exhaust system for? To reduce air pollution. Okay, safety glass. New cars must be equipped with safety glass. Replacement of glass for any car with this must be with safety glass. I know back in the old days, if you break a car window, it would shatter and you would have sharp edges on all the broken glass. With safety glass, every single glass that's broken, part of that glass is now rounded with no sharp edges so it doesn't cut you. Okay, license plates. Every car must have a license plate and it must be visible in the front and on the rear of the vehicle. Okay, windshield wipers must be in good working condition. Must have a rear view mirror, unless of course you have a big massive truck where a rear view mirror is not provided. Slow moving vehicle emblem if you're a farm tractor or a golf cart. You must have safety belts for every seat available in that vehicle. So if you have a back seat with 3 seats, you must have 3 seat belts. If you have 2 seats in the front seat, you must have 2 seat belts. So every must have a seat belt for every seat inside the vehicle. Tires must be in good working condition. If you have tires that are in bad working condition, or the tread on there is too low and it doesn't pass inspection. So you must have good working tires, and also you must have a fuel cap that doesn't leak emissions either. So fuel cap is very important. All right, so equipment you must not have on your vehicle. So the following equipment is considered unsafe and is not allowed on your car. 1, red light showing from the front except for an emergency vehicle. Okay. 2, a bell, siren, or exhaust whistle except on emergency vehicle. So you can't have a horn that sounds like a train coming. Okay. It has to be a standard horn. It can't be one of these horns that just blares so loud and everybody thinks it's either a train or an exhaust whistle. It's you can't have that. Muffler cutout. I know a lot of teens like to cut their muffler, get that loud noise going. You can't cut out your muffler. Anything extending, this may be right here, maybe on your test. Anything extending more than 3 inches beyond the left side or 6 inches beyond the right side of your vehicle. Okay, so 3 inches on the left, 6 inches on the right. All right. Any flashing red lights on the front except for emergency vehicles, school buses, and church buses. Radar interference device designed, manufactured, used, or intended to be used to interfere with, scramble, disrupt, or cause to malfunction a radar or laser device used to measure a vehicle's speed. Today they no longer really use radar to measure speed. Maybe some of the older police departments do, but now they use lasers. So yeah, those radar detector guns, those radar detector devices that you put in your car, they're pretty much worthless. Minimum road clearance. A vehicle must not be modified or weighed in such a manner that where the body is below the lowest part of the rims of the wheel, so you can't drop your vehicle too low. Optional equipment. These are things that you can have on your car, but they're considered optional. So you could have a spotlight, just kind of like that of a police car. They have that little spotlight next to the driver's side mirror. You could have fender lights. You could have running board courtesy lights. You could have backup lights. You could have flashing lights. Okay, but as long as they're not flashing red. You could have additional lights, and you could have a sunscreen or window tinting. I know each municipality have their own rules when it comes to window tinting, so make sure you're within the guidelines of where you live, right? So if you ever go to a place where you get your windows tinted, they'll tint them as dark as you want, but they may not be legal, so you got to be careful. Registration of vehicles. All vehicles must be registered in the owner's county of residence. So once you buy a car, it's going to be registered in the county in which you live. So if you live in Houston, it's Harris County. If you live in Galveston, it's Galveston County. Once the vehicle is properly registered, a registration sticker will be issued that must be displayed on the vehicle's windshield or on the rear license plate of a motorcycle or moped. An owner must register a newly purchased vehicle within 30 days of purchase. Non-resident truck owners may be issued a 30-day temporary registration permit for certain movements or farm products. Under certain conditions, temporary registration permits and reduced registration fees for special vehicles. Buyers' temporary tags are recognized for 60 days. So if you go to a dealership and buy a car, that temporary tag is good for 60 days. Let's see here. Vehicles not required to be registered, farm tractors, farm equipment, golf carts, things of that nature. Let's see here. When temporary operating on a highway, the following vehicles are not required to register or inspect annually. If the owner annually secures a distinguished $5 license plate and complies with other special conditions of the law. Machinery for drilling water wells and construction machinery, farm trailers, semi-tractors, cotton trailers, things of that nature. Vehicle registration for new and non-residents of Texas. So if you're moving to Texas, a new Texas resident must register every vehicle he or she owns before applying for a Texas driver's license. When a non-resident establishes residency in Texas or enters into a gainful employment, his or her vehicle may be operated for 30 days. After 30 days, the vehicle must be registered in Texas. New residents registering a vehicle must obtain a Texas vehicle inspection report and verification of the vehicle identification number by a state-approved vehicle inspection station prior to registration. Okay. So, Chapter 2 is pretty short. Let's go ahead and take a look at the questions for Chapter 2, and then we'll move on to Chapter 3. All right, so the questions for Chapter 2 in your DPS handbook are questions 14, 15, 16, and 56. So I'm going to go ahead and give you some time now to go ahead and get those questions done. Once you're finished, go ahead and hit resume on the video, and we'll start Chapter 3. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at Chapter 3 here. Chapter 3 is also a very small chapter, so it shouldn't take very long, and it deals with Safety and Responsibility Act of Texas. Okay, so this is all about insurance. All right, so the liability insurance law. The Texas Motor Vehicle Safety Responsibility Act was enacted to ensure all drivers are financially responsible for the death, injury, or property damage they may cause while operating a motor vehicle. All owners and or operators of motor vehicles in Texas must have at least the minimum amount of liability insurance. As of January 1st, 2011, the minimum amount of liability insurance is $30,000 against injury or death of one person, $60,000 against injury or death of two or more individuals, $25,000 against property damage. All right, this is the very bare minimum required by law in Texas, what they call liability insurance. To comply with the Texas Motor Vehicle Safety Responsibility Act, a driver, unless exempt, must maintain liability insurance or be self-insured under the provisions of the Act. Evidence of financial responsibility must be presented at the time a person applies for a driver's license, registers a motor vehicle, or obtains a motor vehicle inspection report. Every owner or operator of a motor vehicle in Texas is required to furnish evidence of financial responsibility to a law enforcement officer upon request or to another person involved in a crash. So when a police officer pulls you over, you're required to show him your license and your insurance. If you get involved in an accident, even if it's not your fault, you are required by law to show your identification and your insurance. Okay? So what is considered evidence of financial responsibility? The following list includes items that will be accepted as evidence of financial responsibility. 1, a liability insurance policy in at least the minimum amount. So this is what you usually get from an insurance company, like State Farm, Geico, USAA, things of that nature. A standard proof of liability insurance from a prescribed form prescribed by the Texas Department of Insurance and issued by the liability insurer that has the name of the insurer, insurance policy number, and policy period, name and address of each insured, policy limits, or a statement of the coverage of the policy complies with at least the minimum amounts of liability insurance required by this act, and the make and model of each covered vehicle. Insurance binder indicating the owner and or operator is in compliance. A certificate issued by the state comptroller showing the owner of the vehicle has a deposit with the comptroller, money or securities of at least $55,000. A surety bond issued by the DPS showing the vehicle has a bond on file with the DPS office. A certificate or a copy of a certificate issued by the county judge or a county in which the vehicle is registered that shows that the owner of the vehicle has on deposit with the county judge cash or cashier's check for at least $55,000. A certificate or a copy of a certificate of self-insurance issued by DPS which shows the person has more than 25 registered vehicles in his or her name. All right, an image displayed on a wireless communication device that includes the information required in a standard insurance form. This option is not acceptable for driver's license issuance or examinations. So you can use your handheld device like a cell phone or your iPad to show proof of insurance to a police officer when being pulled over. But if you're trying to get your driver's license, you must show a physical copy of your insurance in order for you to comply with the law. So, failure to provide evidence of financial responsibility. What are the punishments? If an individual fails to provide evidence of financial responsibility, i.e. your insurance, when required, he or she may receive a citation. The court may dismiss the charge if the individual provides evidence that a liability insurance policy was in effect when the citation was issued. Upon conviction of a driver's motor vehicle without sufficient evidence or financial responsibility is required, a driver is subject to the following penalties. So, if you get caught driving without without insurance, it's a fine anywhere between $175 to $350. Okay, the vehicle registration, license, driving privilege of a driver will be suspended. 1, upon conviction of a traffic violation, providing for a suspension of a driver's license unless evidence of insurance presented to the DPS. 2, if a judgment resulting from a crash has not been satisfied within 60 days of judgment. 3, if the installment agreement arising out of the settlement of a crash is in default. And 4, if while uninsured the individual was involved in a crash in which another person was killed, injured, or there was at least $1,000 damage to a person's property and there exists a reasonable probability of a judgment being rendered against the driver, and when required to maintain evidence of financial responsibility for 2 years from the most recent conviction date. More specific information about compliance with the Texas Motor Vehicle Safety Responsibility Act can be found online. So one of your questions may be this one right here. How long must a person show proof of financial responsibility when ordered by a judge? 2 years. Okay, 2 years. That may be on your test. All right. So that concludes Chapter 3. So let's go ahead and take a look at Chapter 3 questions, and we'll move on to Chapter 4. All right, so the questions you're going to need to know for Chapter 3 are questions 36, 72, and 73. Now, this concludes session 1 or day 1 of the distance learning course for driver's ed. So if you're in the adult driver's ed, this would be session 1. If you're in the teen driver's ed, this would conclude your day 1. So what do you need to do going forward? Teens, your assignment is to read chapters 1 through 3 of the DPS handbook and complete all questions from chapter 1 through 3. Adults, you're ready to move on to session 2. Click on the next video to begin session 2 of your 6-hour adult driver's education distant learning course. Make sure you have the questions from chapters 1 through 3 completed before moving forward. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.